Let's get reaction from the country's biggest opposition party, the Democratic Alliance. Its leader, John Steenhuisen, joins us this evening via Zoom. Thank you so much, Mr. Steenhuisen. Can I get your broad reaction to the ins and the outs? A couple of ministers completely removed, others are merely swapping their portfolios, and we're seeing some entirely new faces. What is your broad reaction?
Well, I think that it was very cosmetic this evening, and some of the big names we would like to have seen gone have stayed on. People like Becky Cele, Angie Macheke have presided over terrible outcomes in their departments. Obviously, we're seeing some of the president's political opponents being dealt with, most notably Lindiwe Sisulu had been put into the exit portfolio of the tourism ministry, and she's now out. But obviously the big news of the evening is the electricity minister. And I think this is where the big opportunity was missed this evening by the president to do something groundbreaking and really exciting in that particular space. And unfortunately, we're ending up with a recycled ANC hack who has been around and really not done a great deal to inspire confidence that this is the man who's going to get us out of the load shedding crisis.
What would you have seen as that groundbreaking move?
I would have brought in somebody from outside of Parliament if I was going to use a seat like that, not a recycled ANC hack, but somebody with real, genuine industry experience in the energy sector, somebody who's had international exposure, somebody who understands the ins and outs of the electricity generation supply industry, and somebody who was free from the corrupt and mafia-style networks that have operated around this particular sector within the ANC, dating right back to the Chancellor House Hitachi deal. Instead, we've missed that opportunity now, and we've got somebody in there who is just going to end up squabbling with the other three ministers that are now got the same double brief as he has got, and somebody who, during his tenure in Tshwane, hardly inspired confidence that he is the man to really get us out of this crisis and into a situation we have energy back in our homes, back in our businesses, and back in our economy.
So opposition parties are not there purely just to be opposite. Are there any good changes that you celebrate?
Well, there's some hardworking MPs that have ascended mainly into the deputy presidency positions and deputy minister positions, and we obviously wish them well. Obviously, the deputy president has now ascended to his position as per their conference resolution, and we wish Mr. Mashatile well and hope that he's going to be far more hands-on as the leader of government business in ensuring that his fellow ministers in the cabinet actually attend to their parliamentary responsibilities and duties, that they are present in the House, that they are answering the questions and doing what needs to be done, because certainly his predecessor spent far more time in Moscow than he did in Parliament. And it was really evidenced in the fact that members of the executive treated Parliament with disdain. So Mr. Mashatile's got his work cut out for him, and we wish him well in that regard.
So an appointment not discussed yet much this evening. Minister in the Presidency responsible for performance monitoring and evaluation, perhaps one of the most important portfolios, seeing that we've seen so much missing in specifically that area. Ramaphosa appointed to that position. What do you make of that appointment?
Well, it's all going to come down to whether you are able to monitor the performance and evaluate how things are being done. Bear in mind, the president promised us when he was first elected that there were going to be performance agreements with ministers. When we pired those particular performance agreements and some of the assessments, ministers had scored as low as 30% in many instances, and I think the average was way below 50 if one took it across. So it's very clear that you can talk about performance monitoring and evaluation, but the talk is cheap. It comes down to whether there will be genuine consequences for directors generals and ministers who don't perform, because we've seen, for instance, Becky Cele is the worst performing police minister in the history of post-democratic South Africa, presiding over a situation where over 80 of our citizens are murdered every single day, and gender-based violence is running rampant, and yet he has retained his position. It clearly shows that there have to be consequences, because no performance monitoring and evaluation system can exist outside of consequences. And we've had a lot of talk about consequences, but we've had very little action when it comes to consequences from this president and his administration.
In the run-up, some say that this cabinet reshuffle would make or break the ANC. Based on the new cabinet formation, which do you think it will be, or do you think that statement was exaggerated given the outcome?
Well, bear in mind, this is the team that the president's going to now take over the next 15 months into the next election. And from the opposition side, I can say we're absolutely delighted with the team that has been selected, because it's going to make our job so much fundamentally more easy to be able to show that this is a government that's run out of ideas, it's run out of people, and it's run out of energy. And what is required in South Africa is a new team to be able to excite, to be able to deliver, and to be able to give the energy that this country is going to need to get out of the darkness that the ANC has plunged us into, and into the light of new opportunity, new hope, and a new vision for our country.
All right, thank you very much, John Steenhuisen, leader of the Democratic Alliance, giving us some reaction to the Cabinet's much-awaited cabinet reshuffle this evening.